All right, joining me now for more reaction on the oil leak that just seems to go on and on is John Hofmeister. He's the former president of Shell Oil Company, currently the CEO for Citizens for Affordable Energy, and the author of the book that is aptly named Why We Hate the Oil Companies. John, welcome. Good to have you here tonight.
Thank you, Martha.
Well, let's start with that question. You know, they don't get a lot of sympathy. People feel like they charge them too much. They're polluting the earth. They're finding all kinds of ways to, make a ton of money when the rest of the economy seems to be going into the tank. Why is it that people hate the oil companies, besides all the things I just listed, if there are other things?
Well, we have this battle royale that's going on between the oil companies, the American public, and the American government. And I think all three parties have some responsibility for why we hate the oil companies. The oil companies do a terrible job of communicating what they do, and they live in a political purgatory because they tend to choose one party over another. Right now, that party's not in power. The government blames the oil companies every time the prices go up, every time there's a shortage, every time anything goes wrong. It's always the oil company's fault. And the American public really doesn't know enough to know, do they believe the government, do they believe the oil company?
Right.
But they want 10,000 gallons of oil a second as consumers in this country. 20 million barrels a day of oil we consume.
Yeah, you talk about Tony Hayward. We just saw this soundbite from him a moment ago, the CEO of British Petroleum. He's gotten a lot of heat, I think, in some ways, for not being emotional enough about all of this, for not, I don't know whether people want him to weep on national television, I'm not sure, but people seem to feel that he's not feeling all of this enough. And then he sort of did himself not a big favor today by saying, I just want to get my life back. I think people on the Gulf might take that the wrong way.
That was not a terribly clever comment. I can understand where it comes from. He is a human being, after all, and he is showing his humanity. I think all in all, BP is doing everything they can possibly do. If it was any other company, they would be doing the same things as BP in coordination with the government.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right about that.
It's
this company, they're on the brink of devastation for their company, and why wouldn't they do every single thing they can to get this fixed? But then we're starting to hear about the emails that are coming out that 6 weeks before this happened, there were discussions going back and forth in the company that there might be a problem with this well. That doesn't look good.
Well, I've been saying for all 42 days, we've got to get to the bottom of what happened.
Right.
Because 40 years, 35,000 plus wells, never before has this happened. Yeah. Something went badly wrong, and we got to find out what it is. Because the implication, Martha, and this is very serious and why I wrote the book, the real issue is what are we going to do about the future of domestic energy in this country? I just said 20 million barrels a day. It doesn't get any smaller. Are we going to produce our own, or are we going to be hostage to foreign powers who sell us oil at their price?
Well, before I let you go, you think of 3 Mile Island, and that sort of set back any discussion of nuclear power in this country. I mean, it was just off the table, and now we have, lots of neighbors in Europe and elsewhere who, effectively produce nuclear power. Is this incident going to set back, oil drilling for a very long time?
What I write about in the book is we lack courage on the part of our elected officials to make the hard choices about what's best for the American people. It's a lot easier to blame the utilities or blame the oil companies than it is for elected officials to make hard choices about nuclear, about drilling, about nuclear waste disposal. But we've got to make those decisions.
All right. Very interesting. John Hofmeister, thanks very much for being with us tonight, sir. Good to see you. Well, coming up.